All right, we are live. Welcome to Nerd Side Chats. This is Dan. Next to me, I've got Tim hyphen. Subscribe to at Nerd Champs. We are the Nerd Champs. Joining us at the top of this episode, we have Travis from withtravis.com. And joining us a little bit later, we're going to have Jason. And tonight, we're continuing our series of talks about Skeleton Crew, and we are on episode 6, titled Zero Friends Again. Tim, can you give us a little bit of a recap of what transpired this week? And then we'll get into our
I'll try my best. So we start with the kids sliding down some kind of a slide, and we're kind of unsure where it leads. Well, it turns out that this was kind of like a garbage chute for the spa planet. So they kind of get spit out in this kind of garbage heap.
And then Star Wars without getting thrown into a garbage.
That's right. You gotta have some kind of a garbage thing in Star Wars.
Yes.
So that's how the episode started. The kids then begin having kind of a discussion about what they need to do. They think they need to get back to the ship, but they think they need to do it two different ways. Wim and KB believe that they need to follow these little trash crab creatures that have kind of befriended them, that they think are just adorable and would never do them any wrong. And Fern says, no, we need to just climb this huge cliff and get to the ship. And Neil very reluctantly goes with her, but does not really want to do that, as we all know that Neil is not that kind of an individual. But then basically it kind of cuts away from there, and it starts with Jude Law popping up through the sewer, it looks like, and he is immediately confronted by Urkel the space pirate. And Urkel the space pirate says, "I'm going to take you to the captain, Wolfman." And Jude Law says, "Well, there's a whole bunch of treasure down here, and if you listen, even more." Okay, but they've all been taken by him and his promises of treasure so many times that they just take him to the captain anyway. So then we find out that as that's transpiring, we see the X-wings kind of chasing other pirate ships. Okay, and at this point is when the kids look up and the kids figure out that the X-wings are the good guys. They did not know this because they were with Jude Law, who kind of told them to shoot at the X-wings before, So anyway, so they figure out that the X-wings are the good guys, and then then basically it cuts back to I think it cuts back at that point to KB and Wim, and she has some kind of a corroded fuse. She was not acting herself. She was not acting herself. She was very defiant to Fern, which Fern was not used to. And so basically she just kind of shuts down, and she says that he needs to fix this fuse that's corroded or something. Yeah. And they had to make a whole new one using some spare parts, and she showed him how to do it, and he did it, and they had to pull out the back of her head and put it in, which was actually pretty cool. And once that was in, she was back to herself. So that was cool. Then they kind of continued, and they were taken by these little trash crabs to a really, really big trash crab, because the little trash crabs were gathering food for the big trash crabs. So, anyway, so basically at this point, then Fern has made it up with Neil to the ship, and she was taking off, and it was all chaotic and hectic and everything. And she was steering it from the top somehow, whatever. Anyway, and then the trash collector thing. Yeah, that's what she was doing.
Jump onto the ship.
So anyway, so then they get the other kids, but the trash crab throws a big piece of trash at them, and the ship goes down, and it goes like into this compactor thing, right? They get in there and they try to start it, but this compactor has it like grabbed, the arms of it have it grabbed, and basically and before all this, Jude Law was on trial, and he kind of convinced all of them that he knew where Atten was, and so that's kind of in the background. But the kids ultimately get the ship started, and they get it away from the trash compactor, and they're off, and that was the end of the episode. So did I miss anything? Is that about it?
I think it covered. I mean, they had to use the do not push button.
Yes. Oh, they did have to use the do not push button in order to get it away from the trash compactor. That is correct.
Yeah, the emergency hull demolition button.
Yeah.
And then there was a sleeker ship inside that false hull.
Yeah.
So reactions. We start with our guest. So Travis, what were your feelings this week?
I thought the show continued to be good. I felt like this was a slight side quest for the kids. If you've got a movie or a TV show with kids, you've always got to have some kind of tension, and there's been tension between them, but yet we got the split up this time, and so the two kids go off on their own. Wim finally gets something to do, and there were some good character development moments. KB, just the one line with, she's treated me different since the accident. We don't know what happened, but just that one line was perfect. Just to, something happened. That's why she's like cyborg. That's why she's got the mechanical stuff. So I thought there was some good character development in this, even though it kind of felt a little bit slower maybe, and there was kind of a side quest for our different groups. I did like that the big octopus from the one episode, big octopus looking creature that we thought was going to be bad, but then he ends up being friends and helping them out. They didn't do that with the giant crab this time. He actually, I think, wanted to eat them. That was good. There was some curveball there. The crab didn't become their friend. So I thought it was a good episode. Maybe not quite as good as some of the past ones. The last one was great, but this one was good too.
Jason, you texted that you had thoughts.
I have thoughts. First of all, you know who directed this episode, right?
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard. Yeah, I did see that. Yep.
Yeah. So there was some kind of like callbacks to the Grinch, which supposedly every one of her episodes of Star Wars she directs, she harkens back to another of her dad's movies, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I have one big complaint. It's my fault for not skipping it, but man, I wish the first thing that they didn't show on the previous was them being told not to push the button.
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Yeah.
I guess that button's getting pushed today.
Yeah, you kind of know.
It's like Looney Tunes. Someone's going to push the button.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when they put it in the recap, it's this episode. The button.
I would have liked to have been surprised by that. I thought this is the best character development episode of the series. The KV stuff is fantastic. I don't know if you guys know, my favorite character in the entire show is KB. So that was really, really good. And I like the crab monster. Yeah, the crab monster was cool. I got a feeling like when the crab monster got enraged after they got away, some of the movement was a little jerky, which I think the crab monster might have been stop motion, which is awesome. Because after I saw the jerky movement, I was like, oh, you know what? This crab monster doesn't look like a Pixar cartoon. So I'm like, oh, it doesn't look like a cartoon because it probably isn't a cartoon. It might be actual stop motion. I don't know. The compositing was really good if it is, because it blended in the scene well, but I feel like it didn't have that ultra smooth, cartoonish CG sheen. It felt like it was in the scene. Now, I might be totally wrong, and it might be CG, but if it was CG, it's better than average Disney Plus CG. I would have to say. What did you think, Tim?
Yeah. I thought, well, first of all, let me just kind of continue with what you were saying. I think it was CG, but I think that, as we've mentioned before by Jason down here, Bryce Dallas Howard is an excellent director. And she has done a very good job on everything that she's been in charge of. I think she did a couple episodes of Ahsoka as well. And I think that she's done quite a few in The Mandalorian. But one of the things that I really like about her directing is that she knows how to place the camera very well. And that's kind of what we saw with that crab monster. The reason it didn't look so fake is because the angles that she took and the places of where the camera was and the part of the monster that you saw where it's part of the monster but not all the monster, that's very Spielberg-esque. It's one of the things that worked really well in Jurassic Park and made it so seamless so that you couldn't tell what was a prosthetic and what was CG. And that's exactly what she did in this episode. She also did it very well with the spaceships in this episode, which has not been done in this series very well up to this point. So I think that, major kudos go to Bryce Dallas Howard just because she knows how to place a camera. Great job. The other thing that I really did like, I love that they kept the high adventure, and I love that they're keeping the classic pirate story. Okay, this is just a classic pirate story. Jude Law is just a classic swashbuckling scoundrel, and I love that now he's back with them, but he's not really with them. He kind of is being held captive by them because of the promises that he's made and all this kind of stuff. So I'm really interested to see what happens moving forward now. But yeah, I mean, it's still to get to episode 6 at this point and not really have anything where I can point to and say, this is a major issue. That's a win as far as I'm concerned. I mean, to get to this point in the series and not have anything that I'm just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe they went this direction. That's like the first time on a Disney Star Wars project since like Mandalorian season 2 that I'm right there. So anyway, so those are my initial thoughts.
Yeah, that whole sequence of Mad Captain Silvo or Dash or Jod, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, coming out of the manhole like Mr. T.
Yeah,
with a million gold chains and bracelets, and he's just like, he is loaded down.
Yeah,
with the loot, man, give me the loot.
And then he just
the hotel staff, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to check out now. And and they're right behind him is the dread pirate Urkel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just so you know what was great is like in a different show, last episode we ended with him igniting that lightsaber.
Yeah.
He did not, we didn't see it lit this episode.
Yeah.
It's on that manhole cover. He looks at the number of pirates and pirate ships in the sky, and maybe this guy does have some modicum of Jedi training, but I think the only Jedi in history that's going to press the attack with that many pirate ships in the sky is maybe Anakin. Nobody else is going to be like, yeah, no, I got this. So he immediately just gives up and lives to fight another day, which is what it still doesn't mean he's not a Jedi, because that's what a Jedi would do. Which that was fun when he calls SM-33 to bring the pain, and he just gets zapped coming out of the manhole.
I'm just, how many times can this droid get shot in the head before he's finally just gone? I mean, how many times?
So it's Energizer batteries, man. They just keep
I don't know what in the world.
It's like batteries defeated Lord Vader in a lightsaber duel. You don't remember
I do. I remember the commercial. I do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know how many times this guy is going to get shot. I mean, how many droids do we see how many droids do we see get shot and that's it? They just get shot and they're just done.
This is the personal custom built droid of the baddest pirate in like Star Wars history. Apparently, like this is the Blackbeard of Star Wars's custom made droid. So like he's a tough guy. We do have comments. I'm not being a great host here, but we're gonna get these up here. We got Barry Allen is slow. 6 episodes in, and I don't want to gouge my eyes out and dig a hole in the backyard. I'd call that a win.
Yeah, there we go.
I
share the sentiment.
Yeah.
I share the sentiment. Yes.
That's a huge win for Star Wars. That's a huge win for anything Disney, I think. Jon Snow knows nothing. We have KB was like a totally different character this week. It's hard to tell if she was just upset with Fern or if the bad fuse was the cause. So, what do you think of what they did with KB this week? I mean, you really like KB, Jason. Did you?
Yeah,
I mean, I thought this was interesting what they did.
absolutely. I kind of got because I have two kids, and one is 8 and one is 2. That
Yeah.
I don't know why it just tugged at my heartstrings when she's like, yeah, Fern always wants me to do stuff and I can't keep up with her.
Mhm.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, that is a little sister. Like with my kids, I see that. I
Yeah.
like that quite a bit. I
Yeah.
think it was more she was having issues with the fuse, but the fuse kind of opened up some maybe underlining issues with Fern, who is my
Yeah.
least favorite character of the show. So.
Yeah, because once they replaced that fuse, she was just back to being her normal self. She was just like, okay, let's go, And so it was just she was happy-go-lucky, and she was a completely different person. So it's hard to know. Does she have these underlying feelings that she's just not allowed to examine because of her being a cyborg, or what's the thing? I don't know. So yeah.
You could tell she's very quiet and reserved, and you tell Fern is not. Fern is just out and over. And even in the first episode, Fern is definitely the leader of their little 2-person gang. Like she dictates what the adventure is going to be. Even when she's like, "Why do we?" I remember Fern was all set to have this big race with that guy, and that's why they're in the middle of the forest trying to dig up the Jedi Temple, as Wynn called it, to get a power coupling for their bike. And KB was like, "Why do we need to have this race? Like is this even important?"
Yeah.
And, Fern was like, "Of course it is. Then what else are we gonna do?" So maybe KB feels a little overruled, and from what this episode really played with to people that were handicapped. Like handicapped people really related to KB in this episode. This is like a medical aid, and she's had an accident, and like when she tells Wynn, like she treats me like I don't have any, like I'm not different, like I don't have limitations. And he's like, "Well, isn't that great?" She's like, "Well, not really, because I do." She's like, when you ignore it, then it just kind of, and I feel like the idea is that, she was afraid to go where all that steam was, to the spa an episode ago, because she was afraid of corrosion, and she did get corrosion, and like that could have killed her. But they're all just like, "Oh, no, you'll be fine." And just like Fern's like, "No, you can climb the side of this cliff." And obviously she couldn't even follow the crabs, to the junk pile, and she just felt like she couldn't tell her that. So that was pretty strong development. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe we just got to reveal her. This was more of a spotlight than we've had for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think, Travis? Did you think
I think it was a good balance with KB. And especially like you were saying, with the fact that she does have this handicap, and she can do things, but then there are some things that she can't do, and she can't be in these certain situations. So I think that really spoke well of the writers and handling that situation. I think they did it very well. And like Tim said, and once she's fixed, she's fine, and she's jumping on the back of these things that are carrying the ship, and she's doing all the things, and she's making sure the parts of the ship work that need to work. So, I feel like when they shipped this early on, we saw a lot of Wim and Fern, and it's really like it's the other two kids that are really standing out, Neil and KB. I really think are really standout characters as far as the kids go.
Wim is still, I mean, he's had some spotlights. He's grown. He actually became afraid, but he's still just like, apparently maybe he'll get his shining moment.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. The trash grab thing was just I mean, it was just a classic example, of
Yeah.
of someone that is just so naive and just so like, oh, let's follow these cute
Follow
little
the-
creatures.
All
They,
the talking crap.
what are they going to do to us? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and it's just like at some point, at some point, Wim just has to realize you can't just trust everybody that you think you can trust, and that's it's kind of weird because so far he's made all of the wrong decisions when it comes to that stuff so far.
At
I
least
hope
he's
we get a
frustrated
really
with
big
himself.
payoff of some kind of development with him at the end.
Yeah,
he
if
is
it wasn't
frustrated.
for
When the crab tries to eat him, he is like, why can't I ever pick out who the good guy is?
yeah, it's like he expected it to be like Mr. Norwal at Buddy the Elf, like
Yeah.
oh
Hope you
hey,
find your dad, buddy.
yeah, hope you find your way back to Adat, and that's what he expected from the big crab, and it's just like no, that's not not everybody is going to be nice,
So there we go. Barry Slow. I, for one, thought the giant crash crab was hilarious. Although CGI was used a lot more this episode, it didn't feel as bad as in previous episodes. Yeah, the effects here felt better
Mhm.
than in some of the other ones. For real. Yeah, they very much did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the spaceships have been my biggest complaint in Disney Star Wars since like the Obi-Wan series. They just look like PlayStation 2 graphics most of the time. And so I'm really glad to see, spaceships that don't look like that. They didn't look that bad this episode. They were still clearly CG, but they were used better with angles and camera shots and the panning and all that kind of stuff. It worked out a lot better. So
Now,
Goes back to director.
yeah, it does.
What are we
It does.
thinking on the over-under of when we get the Onyx Cinder Lego set with removable outer hull with the sleek ship inside and like the one that we've been seeing kind of like it just slides off probably, right?
You got to do it before season 2. You got to do it before season 2, right? I mean, that's got to be the thing.
Yeah.
So
And then who's
if
going to
you're-
want to buy the original one?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well,
That's right.
I'm
That's clearance.
shocked that they haven't already sold one
Mhm.
where the outer hull slides off and the sleek one's inside like 2 weeks before this episode dropped, because that seems like what
You don't want
Disney likes
spoil
to
that.
do with their tie-ins, with their Funkos and their Legos, is just give away all the surprises.
Well, and it doesn't seem to me like Disney has really done a spectacular job with the promo of this show, the merchandising of this show, all that stuff. I think they didn't really know what the response to this show was going to be. The viewership is still down. So I think the merchandising doesn't have a huge demand right now. I think once they let this sit on the shelf for a couple years, they're going to see that the merchandising is going to be something that's going to pick up. So now the problem with that is you did a series based on kids. If you wait a couple years, they're not going to be kids. So that's the problem. So we'll just have to see if that's what they decide to do.
What's that? What were you saying,
I
Jason?
said we could de-age them.
Yeah, we can de-age them. I mean, this is Disney, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
It is-
I mean, speaking of the Lego set, they did really bad with it because they released that Lego set like back in October or September, like way back when, and it was coming out on shelves, and people were like, "What is this?"
Yeah,
what-
exactly.
What am I looking
Yeah,
at?
that was not.
I mean,
not
I
well
think
done.
there was maybe one trailer that was really released, and that was about it. And
And then they shot the Lego set out there.
they really didn't do much with the merchandising or the promo. I mean, the Funko Pops, but that was about it. I mean, so yeah, it's hard to expect that they are going to do much right now. But I think when they're trying to build up to season 2, that's when we're going to see all the merchandising hit. But
Stuff
they-
Neils.
yep.
they didn't-
That's already happening. I'll guarantee at Galaxy's Edge right now, I will eat my shoe if they don't have them for sale already at Galaxy's Edge.
I'm like, I know me and Tim are watching commercials. Are Jason or Travis, are you guys watching commercials? Do you have commercials on your Disney Plus?
I don't.
Jason, do you-
Yeah, I got. Yeah, because I saw that Spider-Man trailer again today.
all right. Tim, did you get the commercial for Disney World or Disneyland where they've like had the only fictional kid in the whole world that would have been excited at Galaxy's Edge to see Ray? They're
Yeah.
trying to
Oh yeah.
pretend
Yeah.
Like you're gonna take a kid, like the mom's like, and she saw Ray, and she was like, "Oh my god, mom, she's real!" And it's like,
Yeah,
now
I
I
know.
know you're paid actors.
Yeah,
Now I know
yeah.
you can even find an actual market. Yeah.
yeah.
Nobody's looking for Ray.
I like the videos of the kids going up to Kylo Ren dressed as Darth Vader, and they just like push him aside like he's nothing. The little kids do, it's like this is the real response to Disney Star Wars.
The truth about the kids finding Ray at Disney World is that they're looking for Chewbacca. They're hoping
That's
he's
right.
with her.
Yeah.
Like, where's Chewie?
Where's Chewie? Wait, get out of
Guy's
the way.
never ages.
Behind you. Oh, good times. All right, we got one more comment. We got what's that? Were you gonna say something, Jason?
So, yeah, when do we think Jude Law's turning face? Like, he's gonna come around, right? We all agree with that.
Yeah. I
Perfect timing with this comment. It looks like. Hold on. So
okay, we got this show was stuck with the High Adventure storyline. I'm here for it. It feels like the only inevitable thing left to happen is Jude Law's heart growing 3 sizes and giving the kids saving the kids at the end. So there we go. We got another Grinch reference.
He'll say Black Day.
Yeah. So I see. I mean, they're going to get to AT-ATN. Brutus and the rest of the pirate gang are going to want to do something truly awful to kids,
Mhm.
and that will have to be the moment that Mad Captain Silvo,
the lightsaber comes out. Yep.
finally breaks out and becomes a good guy.
The kids that she's supposed to race on the speeder bike, like they're coming back. Like, there's going to be a sequence where pirates are chasing kids on scooter bikes. Mark my words.
Maybe they'll go across the moon.
It's going to be real close to that.
It just needs some Back to the Future music behind it to make it really work well.
Oh,
The
man.
chase scene.
Just get it all.
Get all the
So
nostalgia.
I know me and Dan talked about it. Who do y'all think the supervisor is?
Oh, yeah.
I heard you guys talk about that last week. So I think I think we are going to go completely TOS. I agree with Dan completely on that. I think they're going to go completely TOS. It's a robot running everything. And this is a trope that's been brought up a lot since then. Futurama did a thing on it as well, and there's a lot that's been done on that since. I think that's what we're going to find out. We're going to find out there's some super intelligent droid somewhere, and that's who the supervisor is. So yeah.
Now,
I wondered if it isn't the pirate from the from the treasure.
The one that crashed.
You couldn't see his face in the hologram. So I'm like, why are they keeping that a secret from us?
Yeah.
Is he going to come back and he's been the supervisor all along? I don't know.
Yeah.
Robots
Robots
make sense though.
There has to be a payoff since it was a degraded recording and they didn't let us see him.
Yeah.
There has to be a payoff of some. Either we already know who he is. We've seen this character before.
Yeah.
Let's just hope it's not Yoda that shows up at the very end.
Yeah.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah. Yoda's there running everything, and he's been the one.
I shouldn't even make jokes about that show.
Coyote Mundi. It was Coyote Mundi, right? He's a bajillion years old, and it doesn't matter. He fits in every timeline, right?
Jar Jar.
It's eternal.
Yeah. Now I have seen people wonder about, and I really I could fill this in and hand wave it in any way, but some people are wondering, like, what's the obsession with Old Republic credits? Why do they hold such high intrinsic value?
That's a question.
We're two intergalactic governments later now.
Mm-hmm.
Why do these credits still hold such high value, and what's intrinsically valuable about them that makes them, like, are they made of something really valuable? And if it is, why is that substance? Do they mine it on AT-ATN?
Well, you remember in the first episode, she said something about the last kid that missed his test.
Yeah.
She said they put him underground in the mines.
I forgot. Yeah, they do have mines. So
I was just going to say they were putting them on eBay, but
what's really weird is that the way that currency historically works is that once a government has been void, then that currency is typically void. So it has to be made of something valuable. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Yeah.
It has to have been made of something valuable. What really gets me is that these, like, the bartender just took it like it was nothing. He was just like, "Oh yeah, do you got any more of those?" You know what I mean? Like they could just use them at any given time. And Jude Law has been trading them, you know, like they're nothing. Like, "Oh yeah, just take a couple of these," you know. That's something that's kind of a little interesting, because I think that the general logic of how currency would work doesn't really line up with that. But I mean, you know, we're talking about an intergalactic currency that is fictional, so I can let it slide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't really know. So we
Yeah.
don't really know. But something tells me we're going to find out. I think it, you know, we're going to find out exactly why. And
Yeah.
Yeah, you could give that. You
Yeah,
could do that with just one easy line and just.
yeah.
Yeah, I could see it being rare, because I would think the Empire would have tried to confiscate all Republic currency and probably melt it down and destroy it. I would see that would be the Empire's move, and replace it with their own currency. So anything rare could become collectible, but it's definitely more valuable than that, than some,
Yeah.
you know, and
This isn't like finding doubloons. You know what I mean? This isn't like finding doubloons in the ocean or something. I think this would be more attuned to somebody that is able to, like, print old $100 bills. You know what I mean? Not the new $100 bills, the old $100 bills. Oh, where'd you get all those? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of more what it feels like to me, you know.
yeah, this is not a fiat currency. This is
Yeah.
This is a currency of intrinsic value, like
Yeah.
like gold. This is space gold, which works for the pirates.
Star Wars pro gold standard.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes. Star Wars does not like the fiat currency. They want your currency based on precious metals, or at least some form of commodity to have it.
Even Disney
So-
Star Wars got on. We gotta bring the inflation down, guys.
Yeah.
So let's talk real quick about Jude Law's minute and a half little sales pitch that he gave to all the pirates. So let's talk about that for a minute. So what did you guys think? Would it have been convincing enough for you to believe that At-Aten existed after that speech?
If Jude Law was giving it, yeah.
Well, when you combine it with the full on Mr. T ensemble he came out of that hole with, when you see all the loot he just had, that came from somewhere. You know, like he didn't have that when he got loose. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
so his story that he found the famed pirates hoard, it might, and that's the thing. A pirate captain, historically and in these stories, the captain is a salesman.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Is basically his authority only derives from the crew's belief that he can lead them to the next big score.
Mhm.
So he was their captain at one point. So I feel like he must be a, you know,
I think it went well enough that they kept him on board. But I mean, you could tell by some of the things he was saying, like, let's overthrow the wolf guy. I don't
Yeah.
remember his name, but like, they're
Yeah.
like, no, we're not doing that. But we're keeping you around, and you're going to
Yeah.
take us there.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, he was throwing around old Republic credit for like nothing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
So
And he still had one left
Well,
somehow.
yeah, he
Yeah,
still did
I-
have one.
He had one.
Even though I thought he threw the last one
Uh-huh.
because they were looking real hard to
Into
find
the
one, throw
into
it
the
in.
acid,
To the
right?
pit, yeah, the acid.
yeah, that's
But-
what I thought as well.
that you know he's shifty.
Yeah.
Because like he really made him sweat figuring out whether or not they still had one to throw in the acid.
Yeah.
And he had another one after that.
What's really interesting though is I think that Dan and I are in sales, and we could just I mean,
Yeah.
the amount of confidence that you have to be able to make a sale when you really haven't seen the thing is very, very hard. Okay.
Yeah.
And especially when it's like this or death. Okay.
Yeah.
Like you have a minute and a half, convince us or you die. Okay. So I think that's very interesting. The other thing was, once again, how long is this droid going to keep getting shot? But he's the directions to At-Aten, right? I mean, KB has them as well, right?
Right.
She said that when they were in the ship, she said, I have the coordinates, right?
Yeah.
But Silvo, but Silvo, Crimson Jack, Jude Law, whoever that is, SM-33 is his coordinates, and they just shot him again. So I don't know what's going on with that. Like, are they going to be able to get the coordinates? I don't know.
No.
I think they will for plot development, but I just don't know that it makes a lot of sense.
He's the 50 Cent of droids. Like,
Yeah,
you can't kill it. Many men wish death on him.
Yeah. Captain Tax droid is ready, man. He could take those shots.
Yeah.
I can't. Did we see them take SM-33?
Yeah, they picked him up.
We picked it. I remember picking up Jude Law. Okay.
Yeah, they were like, once they saw the X-Wings, Urkel said, grab the droid, let's go.
Okay. You're right. I remember that.
I can't believe it's Urkel.
Yeah, he said, grab the droid and the cheese, and let's get out of here. Where's Carl?
I also was wondering about this. What do you guys think about this? Okay, because he seems to be a character that is somewhat like in that mid-tier bad guy. Okay. He's not quite as high tier as the Wolfman, but he's not quite like nameless and doesn't have lines like some of the, he's not like the red shirt pirates. Okay.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if the whole sequence with KB might not also be a way that maybe he gets taken down in the future. I was wondering about that. You know what I mean? I didn't know, because now Wim knows how to do that. I just thought that was kind of an interesting thought.
Maybe
there's Wim's moment right there.
Yeah, that could be his moment,
maybe
right?
That's his moment.
There you go.
He takes out Urkel with steam.
Yeah. Well, no, not with steam. He could get in and get the fuse. He could just.
Yeah. They would never do it, but after he kills him, he should just be like, "Did I do that?
Did I do that?" Yeah. I've been waiting for somebody to slide in a reference here and there when he's on screen just to see, but nobody's thrown even vague references in. It's crazy. I had to even Google to check to see if it was him.
SM-33 is going to be fine, but what about the rodent who lives in his head? Is that thing yet, or is
very important character?
The little like 6-armed mouse. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. How is he doing? Because him and Neil are buddies.
That's my prediction. At the end of the show, it's all going to work out. He's going to end up being like Neil's parrot. Because I think this show ends with this crew and Jude Law sailing off to get into more adventures. That's my prediction of where it ends.
Oh, pirate adventures too. They should just be thieves. They should just be like, you know what? Let's go rob and pillage.
Plunder a ship.
Yeah, that'll be great. Oh man. But you know what? That speech. Do we think maybe that Jod did a little bit of Jedi mind tricking on them? Like, does he have that available? Can he, are those not the droids they were looking for?
You are very convinced of the treasure, but then why wouldn't he just get them to let him go? I mean, there's a lot of questions there, I guess, if that's what was going on. What I mean?
If he gets them to let him go, he doesn't have a ride.
Yeah. I mean, if they get to At-Aten and it's real, and he led him there, then he makes another push to overthrow Brutus, the Wolfman, so, and maybe he gets it because, now he's finally delivered, and he gets his Cobra Commander helmet back, which like,
that's right.
That episode 1, man, that thing with like the Cobra Commander with the pirate hat on top, that was great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Whether he used some mind tricks, he definitely had some psychology going on there. I mean, he was appealing to some of those pirates by things that had happened.
When's the last time you've eaten? I mean,
know. When he started out that way, I was like, where is he going with it? I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Brutus is Destro. Destro can take over Cobra sometimes, but eventually they always wind back up with Cobra Commander. That's what's going on here. They're going to give him a little spaceship. What's that?
Starscream.
Yeah.
Urkel's character has Urkel's
Yeah.
character being kind of predominantly in parts of this makes me wonder if Brutus Wolf guy, if he gets canned in this season and Urkel takes over.
Yeah.
If Jude Law doesn't take back over this crew, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of reminiscent to me, Dan, of Rings of Power, when we kept seeing the orc that kept like questioning Sauron. Do you remember? I mean, it's just like at at some point, not Sauron. I'm sorry. Who was the lead orc guy? Whatever his name was, I forget.
Adar.
Yeah, Adar. Okay. And when you saw the orc that kept like questioning him, and he was kind of in the background and he had lines, but nobody really knew his name and all that kind of stuff. It was like, that's kind of where Urkel is right now. It's like he's the good little minion right now, but will he be when all the chips are on the table? We'll find out. But
when they got the mint.
Yeah, he did get to question Sauron exactly one time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly once.
And then Sauron killed him. Yeah, that was it.
That's how Sauron gets down.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. So we went up. Did we miss anything else that happened this week, or any key moments that we think?
The trash compactor scene was one that I thought was like, it was very much a unifying thing after the group had already been torn apart. So I thought that was kind of very good. It was very Toy Story 3. It was very like, we're gonna go into the incinerator if we don't all work together. It was right here. It was Finding Nemo. Everybody swim to the bottom of the net. I mean, it was everybody working their absolute best. Neil, I don't know how to fly the plane, and KB was like, yes, you can, and so it was very much rah, let's get this done, we can do this together kind of thing. I think that was kind of a very good way to end the episode, with them being successful with teamwork after it started with them splitting apart. So anyway,
I think it was on message that the thing that Wim found to do actually didn't help at all.
Yeah. Get in the guns. Get in the guns for no reason whatsoever.
I mean, he shot the thing and he kept shooting it, and he's like, this isn't having any effect at all.
At least he hit it. I mean, stormtroopers, they never hit anything.
Yeah.
Better aim than stormtroopers.
He hit it, but it had no effect at all. You're right. That just
that poor guy's gonna get his bright shining.
2 episodes left, right?
Yeah.
Just we're at the end.
Yeah.
Now, do they do both episodes next week, or are they doing them one at a time? I didn't even check.
I didn't check.
I
would think they'll do them one at a time.
Because I know that with Agatha they did 2 at the very end, and I know that they did 2 at the very beginning here. So I don't remember. We'll have to take a look at the schedule, but
yeah.
I
feel like Agatha rushed to wrap up because
viewership was down. Let's just put it that way.
And the Halloween season was wrapping up.
Yeah, they wanted it to end before Halloween. So yeah.
Like I remember the year before that, Hulu had, and it might have been on Disney Plus too. They had a Goosebumps show that came out, and it ran like 2 weeks past the end of Halloween. And it's like, we had watched it right up till about Halloween, and it really had kind of like one of those ends that wasn't the end, right on Halloween, right before Halloween. And it's like we didn't watch the final 2 episodes till the next Halloween season. It was like
it's the American Horror Story problem.
Yeah.
Like, every year I start American Horror Story until Halloween, and then I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and Walking Dead launched around Halloween for that purpose. They launched in September, I think, so that they could be running at Halloween. But the thing is, they had such hooking plot and character development that by the time the Halloween season had passed, you still wanted to keep watching the show. You know what I mean? Yeah. But with Agatha, with Goosebumps, with some of these, it's like it's only pitched as a seasonal Halloween show. You really need to wrap it up by Halloween. This show, there really is no seasonal feel to it. So you're probably right. They're probably just going to keep continuing with it the next 2 weeks.
At my house, October 31st, midnight on October 31st, Halloween's over. It's Christmas time, folks. We ain't got no time for nothing spooky no more.
Unless it's a Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chris,
right.
that's as spooky as we're gonna get, man. Maybe we'll see Krampus.
And even then, it's only if it's the Marley brothers, okay, from
Marley and Marley.
Marley and Marley from the Muppets. Okay, that's the only way because
It's the only way.
yeah, the only way to do it.
I got to make a case for Goofy Marley. Goofy Marley is Mickey's Christmas.
I
Goofy
love the
Marley
Mickey
is
one, but the voice actor they got for Goofy just in that one, it's thrown me off since I was a kid. Like, why doesn't he sound like the Goofy I'm used to? I don't know what it was about Goofy in that one. His voice was
not
different.
my Goofy.
That wasn't. Was that not Bill Farmer? That wasn't Bill Farmer that did.
If it was, he was a different. He sounded different. If it was, I don't know that
That's
it was
crazy.
though.
Yeah, Bill Farmer's done him for years, and so for him not to do the Muppet Christmas, the Mickey Christmas Carol.
Christmas.
That's crazy to me. I never noticed that.
Well,
he sounds different.
He has to deliver more lines, more intelligently.
Yeah.
Than you would expect Goofy to be
You
able
will be visited by free spirits.
Yeah. You get these chains,
This could be a whole segment, Dan. We could do serious lines from movies said by Goofy.
Goofy.
They will take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
One of these days, I'm gonna ask you for a favor.
Somebody took the dialogue between Joker and Robert De Niro and did it with Goofy and Winnie the Pooh's voice.
Oh man!
Amazing.
That's gorgeous. Yes, that's gorgeous.
It's beautiful. Oh, bother! You perhaps wouldn't have any honey, would you? Oh, so next week. Do we arrive at? We have to get to At-Atten next week, right?
I would think at the very least they're heading towards that. It's whether or not they, it's whether or not they kind of reconcile before then. Are the pirates and them going to cross paths on the way to At-Atten, and they're overtaken by the pirates, and then they end up at At-Atten the next episode? I don't know, but we're headed that way.
And will we get a longer episode for the last one? Some of these series on Disney.
Yeah,
Plus
typically they do.
Episode at the end.
Yeah, typically they do.
Hours.
Short. They're all like 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And for once, I could use more because I'm not being tortured.
Yeah.
And you know what? This may be premature. Knock on wood. But we only got 2 episodes left, and Acolyte did this, but this is a huge streaming show trope. And I hope they don't do it with one of the last 2 episodes. We have not had a single flashback episode. And I don't remember the last streaming show that
where we
I
didn't.
watched,
Yeah.
that about 2/3 of the way through the season, they didn't jump back to before the season started.
Yeah.
And give me some backstory.
And we've heard so many things about things that have happened in the past, right? Stuff that happened with Pocket and Jude Law, things that happened with things that have happened with the pirate that crashed, and KB and Fern, and there's a lot of stuff that could be flashback-ish type stuff. So
I think they've been really smart with their dialogue. Even that line with KB, like, since the accident happened, like, they've given us everything we need to know and not having to do flashbacks, which has been great.
Yeah.
We don't need a whole episode of Captain Tack Renaud and SM-33 arriving at At-Atten like 60 years ago. We don't.
Yeah.
We don't. And you know what? I really don't think they're going to give it to us.
Yeah.
And, I'll be eating crow next week if that's what they do.
If that's what they were saving his face for from us seeing it, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let him get off the ship and
sure.
add it in a flashback.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, like,
hate
they did it in Agatha just recently. It just seems like every streaming show has to have some kind of mystery. They do it in the Star Trek shows that are on Paramount Plus. It's a trope for streaming shows. You make it about 6, 7, episode 7 or 8, sometimes 5. somewhere in there they jump back and they give you some backstory to change up what you've been watching, and it's been overdone.
And with the Acolyte, not only did they have to show us the flashback, they had to show us the flashback from a whole different angle, right?
Yes.
I mean, it was like
Yes.
we had to do Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3. We had to do it all. So
Yeah.
From the eyes of every character.
yeah,
Yes.
from the,
Yeah.
it was definitely weird. So, but we haven't had that yet, and I don't know that it's going to be an integral or necessary thing for them to do. So we'll have to see. But
I'm going to give them huge kudos if they make it to the end and don't do it. I'm just going to be. That's another reason for me to be super happy about this series. And I hope everybody goes out and buys wherever you can. If you can find that Lego set, buy it.
Mhm.
If you see a stuffed Neil at the store, I want you to buy it, because I want people to watch this, because I don't want Disney to take the lesson that this was the bad thing.
Yeah. Well, and they're going to. They're going to. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, you liked that stuff? And we messed up there. You know what I mean? We didn't want you to like it. That wasn't the idea,
I know Jason hated Solo. And now Solo wasn't great, but to be honest, the reason Solo bombed had nothing to do with Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Solo bombed because it came out like 4 or 5 months after The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And Rogue One could have came out 4 months after The Last Jedi, and nobody would have went and saw it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It was the timing is just like everybody is still mad. And they're not going to buy anything you're trying to sell them. So, but the lesson they took from that's why they didn't make a trilogy of Obi-Wan movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they shelved that, and they put all the Obi-Wan movie money into making Andor and a really crappy, really cheap Obi-Wan TV series where they rejiggered the story that they were going to tell, because they were like, oh, people don't like going back and seeing more of these characters.
But Dan, we got Riva this way. Okay. So, I mean, small victories, man, we got Riva this way. So,
but when I like, the reason viewership of Skeleton Crew is low is because it came out in the same year as the worst Star Wars project ever created in the history of ever. The worst project in the history of projects. And I'm including like third grade diorama history projects. I mean, this was,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but Disney's not going to, they didn't understand why Solo did poorly. If this doesn't find an audience, they're not going to understand why. They're going to be like, oh, this is because it had a fun, lighthearted tone. We need way more seriousness.
And Disney's going to be sitting on all that Acolyte. I mean, stuff is still sitting on shelves like at Walmart from that show, like the Star Wars Black figures and stuff I've seen lately. But they brought them out way after the show had already concluded, and nobody liked it. And now they're just sitting there, and so they're like, we're not going to be able to do any stuff for Skeleton Crew. It'll just sit on shelves.
Yeah.
You know what the most disappointing thing about Obi-Wan was? I didn't know how he got the jacket that he wore. I mean, seriously, come on, Star Wars.
Yeah. And it's just, oh, man. The continuity just falls apart so much. The more you delve, but, oh, well. But like Tim said, we got Riva. And Riva's the greatest TV character since Dokes.
One of the things that this show is doing, Dan, that I really appreciate so far, we've had this discussion several times about several things that we've reviewed recently: Rings of Power, Agatha, Acolyte, all that stuff. We have not had the non-reveal reveal. They have told us exactly what the plot lines are. They've been very predictable, but they've been very good. They've been very well written. We don't need the non-reveal reveal. Okay. We don't need the guy in the mask that you wait for 4 episodes to tell us who it is. We don't need that. Okay. We've already got, we've already got all the information we need to have an interesting story. So I'm really glad they didn't go that direction with this one. I don't want to say that they're learning lessons because I don't know that it's them. I don't know that it's Disney. I think it might just be that these were just competent writers to begin with, and that might be where we're at. But
they gave us the whole mystery of what is at Atten in episode 5.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't string that out to the middle.
And they kind of had given us really thick clues leading up to that. You know what I mean? It's not like it was a huge surprise. So I feel like it was kind of one of those things when they said it, it wasn't like a big reveal. It was more like just confirmation of what you already know kind of thing. So I think that's right. I mean, that's probably the closest thing they had to it in this series. And that wasn't even really the same thing. I don't think.
When you've got good writers, you don't need the reveal of the reveal. You don't need any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And they've done pretty good with this one.
It's almost like Jar Jar Abrams might be wrong, and you might not need a mystery box for every project. That might
especially
not be
a mystery box that you don't really know what's in it when you put it out there.
Maybe if you have an outline of a really good story and you know the beginning, the middle, and the end, you can just structure it that way because you know what the end is, and you don't have to have this huge mystery box where you don't even know what the end is, and that's how you hide the fact that you can't structure a story.
I feel like that's dead on. I mean, there's so many things and so many Disney projects recently that have just they've been Chekhov's gun. It's been the things that you just, they leave it sitting there and that it's going to be integral, and you're just like, just use it already. Okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't need to wait 6 episodes to use the stupid thing. The only thing that's kind of like that right now is the lightsaber. And honestly, there's only 2 episodes left. It's not like they're making us wait that long. So it is what it is.
Oh, so we don't have any huge. The last 2 weeks we've been talking about Superman. When we get done with, I think did anybody have anything else they wanted to say about Skeleton Crew this week?
Still solid. I'm very
still solid. Yeah,
where we land.
Yeah,
for Disney Star Wars, this is a huge success quality wise.
I'm
Disney
excited to be excited to watch an episode every Tuesday. Like,
when
was the last time you were excited? Like, I'm excited to sit down and watch something.
This Mandalorian season 2, maybe, and I'm not this excited. I think I'm more excited for this than that.
I got excited to watch season 3. Okay. but then season 3 started and I was just like, oh, we were going to do this. Okay.
But you were waiting for that.
Yeah. I was getting excited because it's like, oh, it's the Mandalorian again, but no. So this is the most excited I've been since Mandalorian season 2. And, I geared myself up for Obi-Wan, but that got killed right away. And, I've just been hurt too many times. This one right here, quality wise, it's a huge win for Disney so far. Okay. Now look, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell everybody it's The Empire Strikes Back. It's not. Okay. But if you're looking for fun adventure, you can watch with your kids and have a good time. This is a great show so far.
So if we were better at this, I'd have like a visual aid or a video queued up, but I don't. The only other big news this week, I think there's been big news this week, but pertaining to things that we would be interested in is Jason Momoa is coming back to DC. He's coming back to the DCU, and he's going to be Lobo, you bastards. So how are we feeling about Jason Momoa as Lobo? What you seem stoked, Jason. What do you think about this casting?
James Gunn can do no wrong right now. Everything that he's putting out, I'm loving Creature Commandos right now. I'm so excited for Superman. I love the idea of Jason Momoa as Lobo. He looks like the character, like he is Lobo, and I thought that they wasted him in Aquaman. It wasn't his fault, and I'm excited to see how he plays it. I hope he plays it like the bad guy in the Fast and the Furious 10. Like, that's how I want my Lobo to be. I want him to be just off the wall crazy. So that's what I'm hoping.
What did you think? What Travis? Do you think this is a better fit than Aquaman?
I think it is. And like Jason said, I mean, you look at Jason Momoa, he looks the part. I mean,
Yeah.
and the things that I've seen him in, he can do this. He can do this character. He can be the bad guy. He can do it. I think he can do it well. I do need some kind of joke or reference to him being Aquaman at some point. We need some kind of joke in the movie, but I think he's going to do a good job for real.
Yeah. Maybe he gets a trident or something. That would be good if he gets a hold of a trident at some point and tosses it. Or
Yeah.
But, Tim, I
he's
haven't-
eating fish in a scene. That'll do.
Yeah. Yes. I haven't really thought. Tim, what are your thoughts on Jason Momoa?
Yeah, that's great. We definitely need a reference to him being Aquaman, because one of the biggest missed opportunities in the MCU is when Benedict Cumberbatch and when Robert Downey Jr. were in the same movie together and they made no references to Sherlock Holmes. It just was stupid. So anyway, the one thing I would say is, yes, I love Jason Momoa. Okay. And I was introduced to Jason Momoa, like a lot of people, through Game of Thrones. And that was such a role that he nailed that I just don't know that any other role could like stack up to that. And that's kind of the main problem. He's been a fan casting for Lobo forever, even before it was Aquaman. And so I wonder if it's something that the fans have built up the expectations a little too much, kind of like they have with a lot of other fan castings that are out there. But I think if there's anybody who could definitely make it work, it's going to be James Gunn in this new universe that he's putting together. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about everything that's happening with DC right now. I think that they are on a good trajectory. When I was having doubt about some of the stuff that they were doing, I kind of am starting to see the pieces come together, and it's kind of exciting. So yeah.
This is my.
So
Go ahead,
it's
Jason.
all the negatives is now going to Marvel. I mean, I never thought we would get to that point. Also, can you imagine a Zack Snyder Lobo?
Yeah, that would have been so dark. It would have been that would have been, yeah, that would like a snuff film,
Yeah.
But I've got my bold prediction, and I've been putting it in comments places and text messages, but I haven't done it on our channel. My bold prediction for 2025 for this year, Superman is going to out-earn all three Marvel films combined.
1000% agree.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that it's hitting $1 billion. A lot of people are doubting hitting $1 billion. I don't know how that's even possible for Superman. I mean, a Superman film, a bad Superman film, could hit $1 billion right now. I have no idea where people are getting their figures from, but there's no doubt in my mind it's hitting $1 billion. And so the question is, how far over $1 billion is it going to go? So, I think we're looking at a situation where Marvel is going to have to drastically figure out, they're going to have to figure things out very quickly, because they're not going to be able to keep up if they just keep going down this direction with the multiverse saga. It's not
bringing Robert Downey Jr. back as Dr. Doom it's not going to do it for him.
None of the stuff they're doing is going to do it for
them. More, yeah.
Dude, how many times have they reshot Captain America? They've got to be on like the 6th or 7th time.
Well, and RDJ, I guess I'm seeing that he got really deep into some political statements last year. I mean, he's trying to do his best to be a Ziegler moment, and it's like, you're burning that goodwill. It's a stretch to bring you in to be anything other than Tony Stark anyway. Mm-hmm. Chris Evans has also alienated half the country by being very, and then they think bringing him back as Captain America, when you think about exactly what he's done in order to alienate half the country, and now we're going to be like, okay, we're going to give everybody the good feels, and you let that leak out before your Captain Falcon movie comes out. I mean, like, what are you doing?
To me, there are 4 things. If you're Marvel, there are 4 things that will guarantee success if you focus on 4 properties. Okay, the X-Men, Spider-Man, the Legacy Avengers, and the Fantastic Four. That is it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you focus on those 4 properties, you will be successful. The
Yeah.
problem with Marvel is they've had it in their mind. They got to get people to focus on other properties because they think that they've run out of the Legacy Avengers story. They don't have a natural bridge to the X-Men story because they just acquired it. The Spider-Man thing they think is a trope that people don't want to see anymore, which is not true. Every one of their Spider-Man movies has been successful. And the Fantastic Four film that they're giving us is a period piece that might not even matter in the next continuity. So it's one of those things that I just don't know that they have a grasp of what they need to do to be successful. They're not talking to comic book people. They're talking to movie people, and the movie people are screwing it up.
I think they found so much success, and part of this is James Gunn with the Guardians of the Galaxy and those characters that no one knew, that now they're all like, we've got to get
exactly
every one of these characters in here.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Listening, Tim
They
needs
are
to be your guy. He needs to
they are talking
to
they are talking to all the people that loved Guardians of the Galaxy and said, this can be your next Guardians of the Galaxy. The Eternals is going to be your next Guardians of the Galaxy. Shang-Chi is going to be your next Guardians of the Galaxy. Ms. Marvel is going to, no, nobody cares about any of that. Give us those 4 properties. The Legacy Avengers, not the new Avengers, not the young Avengers, not the, West Coast Avenger. We want the Legacy Avengers. We want the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man. Give us those 4. That's it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And James Gunn was brilliant. He immediately got out in front of the political question and said, this is a Superman for everybody. Like,
that was good.
Like,
Truth, Justice, American Way. He used that phrase, and I was on board.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the trailer did give me the one scene with the angry protesters, gave me and probably some others some pause like, oh, God, are we going to have politics in here? And for him to come right out and say, no. This is Superman. This is everybody's Superman. It's just, and like Marvel's never going to come out and say this is everybody's Fantastic Four, because buried in there somewhere, it's a Disney product that they're paying attention to. Now, like the Skeleton Crew, I mean, even the Skeleton Crew, me and Tim had a conversation that spun on a pretty long, but they had to give us KB's moms. So, if it's Disney, they're going to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
when you have the entire cast of the Avengers doing a political ad for a candidate, that's a bad idea. Regardless of who the candidate is, regardless of how you think, like Michael Jordan said it best: Republicans buy sneakers.
Well, when you follow up the election we just had with a movie where your newly minted Black Captain America fights the evil red president, that might be bad timing, folks. It just might not be. You might not be reading the room. To have a giant evil red president fighting your Black Captain America.
Made that connection, but you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee the people at Disney made that connection. That's 90% of why it turned out this way. So,
I mean, how much money?
How orange can we make the red? That's what they're asking. Exactly how orange can we make the red for it to still be Red Hulk? Right?
Yeah.
How bad does this movie do? You think it's in a death spot? Like,
it's gonna flop. It's gonna flop. There's no doubt
opening
about
on Valentine's Day.
Dan's not seeing it. Dan's not even seeing it. I mean, I'll see it. I'll see it because I'm a loser, but Dan's not even seeing it. So,
I'll make my wife go. It'll be the most romantic evening ever.
Yeah. Now, are you going to see it, Travis? I mean,
Falcon and Winter Soldier did really bad too. I will probably go see it so I can get a review on my website. I mean, I've seen some pretty bad ones just so I can let me get my stuff out here. But I don't think it's going to do that well. And as a comic book reader from back when Red Hulk was introduced, I kind of liked Red Hulk. Like there were some cool storylines they did with him. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work here.
I still don't.
Completest channel partner who will watch any piece of garbage that comes out because he feels like he has to. I don't have to go see.
You used to be that guy, Dan. You used to be that guy, and I'm only this way because of you. So that's the problem.
They hurt me too many times, Tim, and now I've learned to live a better life. But no, this
Can only be
and
heard
I've
so
already
many
told,
times.
yeah, I think this movie does Marvel's money.
Yeah.
I think
Ooh.
Gap 4
Yeah.
does Marvel's
What did Marvels do? Right around 3? Did they do around 300?
around 300.
Wasn't
Yeah,
long.
is that? I mean, I mean, and that's a loser for this one, right? I mean, this one's
Oh,
got to
yeah.
have a $500,000 budget. Half a $1 billion budget, right? I
I
mean,
mean, just in reshoots alone, they've reshot this movie like 6 times. Like,
mhm.
I've seen reports anywhere from $400 to $700 million.
oh
Yeah,
my
I mean, I'd say three
Million
is
breaking.
generous, but I mean, I think that I'll go see it, and I think that it's going to be I think it's going to be pretty bad. But I mean, I still am just having trouble buying Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross. You know what I mean? Recasts are one of the big problems I have with series. Everybody that knows me knows that. No, Maggie Gyllenhaal and Katie Holmes are not the same person. You can't convince me they're the same person. So anyway, so these are just things that drive me crazy. I know that it's happened to other places in the MCU, Terrence Howard and Don Cheadle, for example, but I hate when they do this. You know what I mean? I hate when they do things like this, and especially in a character as integral as Thunderbolt Ross, especially before we go into the Thunderbolts now. I think that it was a really bad.
He's shaved
It was a
his
really bad
mustache off,
choice.
though. It makes so much sense to change.
Yeah, I know.
That
It's
throwaway
yeah.
line in the trailer. I'm like,
Yeah, the trailer. Oh, I shaved my mustache. That's why I look so different. Not that I'm a completely different guy.
The man is dead. Their defense, the man is dead.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's
They
come up
had
with
to
another
pretend.
way.
Yeah.
Let's come up with another character. That's
Well, now I will say that my Black Panther solution was they needed to push the release of Black Panther 2 and recast,
yeah.
because the
I
Black
agree.
Panther movie without Black Panther is just a dumb idea.
And the biggest the thing that just drove me crazy about that is how often do we actually see Black Panther's face?
Yeah.
Like throughout the movie, not that much, right? So
Right.
you could have done a Black Panther movie with him in it for a substantial portion of the movie, and they didn't do that. So yeah, recasting is a terrible idea, and I think that's one of the reasons that this movie is going to flop, is because Harrison Ford, we all know, does not care.
No.
He does not care, and when Harrison Ford does not care, the project always bombs. Always.
Yeah.
Well, except for The Force Awakens, everybody was just so excited that they.
But that wasn't a success because Harrison Ford was so awesome. That was a success, like you said, because we hadn't had Star Wars in theaters for a while. But that's it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
when Harrison Ford doesn't care, it's garbage, and that's what we're gonna get with this.
I feel bad for Anthony Mackie. I mean, I would have watched the Falcon movie.
That's what I wanted.
If it came out like 7 or 8 years ago and they made a Falcon movie, I would have went and saw it. It would have done good numbers. But again, nobody saw Falcon and Winter Soldier. Therefore, nobody, and like most of the people who did see it didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. I think he was trying to find a way out this whole time. That's why he did Twisted Metal, and my guy should have stuck with Twisted Metal. It was awesome. So
yeah,
I did like it.
But yeah, nobody saw that. Nobody liked that. So nobody's going to understand why he's Captain America at the start of this movie. They're going to be confused. Yeah, this is going to be awful. But I'll see you guys. I'm coming to meet Tim. Tim's doing a big group thing with Jonathan.
John, and M6P guys. I think the M6P guys will be there too. And
I'm going to meet them at the theater afterwards. I
will be the Nerd Champ representation.
Yeah, they're going to
make
a
be
video.
there, Nerd Champion.
Yeah, I may be in the video. I'll be the only happy person there because I will have been the only one who hasn't just watched that movie.
Hey, I did Jonathan's Flash episode.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the theater to see Flash.
To this day, I still have not seen it all the way through.
Oh, it's bad.
Not all the way through. To this day, because it's bad, man. It's bad.
I haven't watched 1 second of it, and I'm happier.
Yeah, you're better off, man. You're living a good life.
Michael Keaton is my Batman, but I don't.
Not in that movie.
I don't want him to be tainted. I can remember him well. You know?
Have you seen the CGI baby from the beginning of that movie?
No.
Oh,
No.
Dan, you just wait. In the group message, you're going to get a surprise later.
Okay. So I think we've been on it. I think we covered everything that's happened. Travis, where can people find you?
With Travis.com. Check me out.
Jason, where do the people need to find you?
I'm on Instagram at Jason G413, and I also have a podcast on Spotify called Jason Explains It All.
All right. I am Dan. That is Tim - subscribe to at Nerd Champs. We're right here. This is where we are. You're already there. Like, share, subscribe. You can find us on Facebook and X. We're on Instagram and TikTok, even though we don't really know what's going on Instagram. We don't really understand, but we try. We try.
I put you on a lot of stories.
Yeah.
The Insta. We are
Insta.
on. We are not on the Insta.
We are on the Insta. We are on the interwebs, folks. You can find us all over your interweb. We took it and we put it on the line. That's what we do with these videos. We take them and we put them on the line. So anyway, until next time, we will be back here in some configuration next Thursday. Everybody have a good week and a great new year. Oh.